with Scott Boyers here from DoneForYouHomes.com. What's up, Scotty?
How are you?
How you doing, man?
Nice jacket. I like
Thank
that.
you very much.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day
There
to
you go. Looking good.
Thank you. So last time we had you on the show, we were talking about 10 cap passive real estate investments. Tons of people are interested in this. I had no idea how crazy this would be all over the state of California. But it makes sense. We talked about it, you know, the challenges with investing in California. And the biggest question we had was, well, how does this work? Like, okay, you got me. You got me. You know, 10% plus, you know, passive income on my investments in real estate, a solid asset. But how does it work? Like what, you know, so let's say I'm sold. I want to start there today and then we'll get into some other things. Okay, I'm sold. I'm in, Scotty.
Okay.
What are the first steps? Like, what do I do? How do I get in?
So it's relatively easy, and that's sometimes I think a lot of investors will tend to want to make it a little bit more difficult. So I'll make this really simple.
Okay.
One, go to the site and look at some homes and get an idea of kind of what we do, of our done product of what it looks like.
Okay.
And then we get down and say, okay, I want that one and that one. We have some inventory that we can look at, conversation, get it down to where you pick the homes you actually want. It could be one.
So I pick the house.
You pick the house. That's kind of is the first thing.
That's the first thing. So you say, okay, here's my inventory. You want to buy a house from me? You can buy it through your 1031 exchange.
Yeah,
IRA,
there's all kinds of ways to do it.
Cash.
Right.
So, but you want to buy a house.
Practically, it's pick the house.
Pick the house.
I remember the first time that I did it. It literally was I bought my first house by looking at the numbers, and the numbers. Okay, the numbers were what I wanted. So that's when you're doing this and you're looking at an out-of-state done product. It really is about the numbers. So if the numbers are good, I don't necessarily care if the front of the house is gray or dark blue or if there necessarily are fresh flowers there. If it's done and I have a renter and it's cash flowing, I mean that's what I care about.
Scotty, I want fresh flowers in the front yard.
Then
do you have any of those?
Home Depot, you can get anything you want.
So okay, so I get to pick the house. So I get
right.
to see the house. I get to actually look at the house.
Absolutely.
See what the house looks like,
Yep.
and then also see the numbers because these are rented homes.
Yes.
They're ready to go.
They're ready to go. That is the whole point for the investor that we attract is someone that does not want to do all the steps and really almost can't, because if you're going to go outside of California, and that's where a lot of our clients come from, is that they're looking to get their money out, and so practically to me it needs to be a done product, because what are they going to get on a plane and go, you know, search and find, inspect, and all the steps to get to the point that what they really want is a passive product to where they can cash flow so that they can get the lifestyle or get to whatever their reasons are, and that's fine. But practically, it's pick the house, and then send us a deposit, just some earnest money, and then okay, how do you want to actually buy them?
Okay, so the deposit reserves it.
Yep.
So I say, okay, I want 123 4th Street. I like the flowers in the front yard, and
Absolutely.
I like the 12% cap on it.
Right.
So I want that one. You say, okay, cool. We just need your deposit, just like you're buying a normal house.
Exactly.
And these houses are like, some are 60, 70 grand, right?
Yeah.
So we're not talking about hundreds of thousands. People in California
Correct.
are used to talking about, like, well, is it 400,000? It's
Right.
like they're like 60, 70, $80,000.
Yeah, it's funny. So on the site, I have an example of one of our 1031 cases, and it's funny. I've got a California property, and then I've got one of ours, and they look almost the same. The one in California literally was for sale for $1 million, and the house looks identical. They're three bedroom and 1 bath, and bedroom and 1 bath, and so it's amazing of exactly of what you can get. And yeah, people aren't used to that, of saying, I didn't know there's a place where you could get homes for 70, 80,000. But that's part of the whole process of how it was built, was to actually have a done product to where you could go on, look at the inventory, ask the questions, run the numbers, and say, you know what, that fits, that one fits, and that one fits. Great, here's my deposit money. Okay, that one I'm going to buy with my IRA, and you can do that. Some people don't even know that. This one's just going to be cash. So that's the part where, what's the story of the investor, and what do they need, what do they want, how do they want to do it?
What's their reasoning?
Right, and then I would say the vast majority are cash. Some will finance. That takes a little bit longer, but you're probably talking about a 2-week process.
So wait, so you could finance these as well. In other words, you
Sure.
could get a traditional investment mortgage,
Sure.
which usually is about 20% down is what
Correct.
you need.
Right.
But with the house that's 60, 70, 80,000 bucks, that's really not even a huge amount of money
Right.
to have to put down.
Right. And so a lot of investors that will actually talk about that because for them they want to leverage. They've got a little bit more time. And again, a lot of these properties they'll cash flow on a 15-year mortgage.
Wow.
So I would say if you have time in your game plan, I mean some will actually do a 30, and sometimes because that's how they want to leverage it, and because they're going to pick up and they'll probably accelerate it at some point. But getting in and getting started, and I think that's one of the biggest things is that because it's done and getting into real estate, sometimes investors think that there's well, what am I missing? It's like, well, no, that's the whole point. Is that we've done all the work up to the point to where you see it. So it's been bought right. It's been rehabbed properly. All the systems that we have in place present a done product to the investor.
Leased, renter in there, paying
Right.
rent.
So think of it this. It's in our portfolio. We're happy to take the cash flow. We're fine with that. So really, you're taking it out of our inventory of something that we bought because we like the numbers. We like the property. It's just that if we wouldn't buy it, we wouldn't want you to buy it because we know what it should be, and we're rehabbing it because if for whatever reason it's like the last one in line that somebody buys, we're okay still keeping it. So it's just a matter of you pick what you like, flowers, color of the house.
I want red flowers
Hey,
in the front yard.
absolutely. Well, back in the Midwest, you're not going to get that right now. You've got to wait a couple of months for that.
It'd be plastic.
Yeah.
So so I pick a property.
Yep.
It's the first thing I do. Put it on a deposit.
Yep.
And then determine financing.
Correct.
And then that's it. Or I guess you just buy it at that point.
Correct. So and that's the point is that I'm like, well, yeah, I don't have a whole lot more steps. Now there are things in there to where you want to get someone in there to take a look at the property as an inspector, and you want to do that. We're fine with that. So any of those steps, just to sometimes on your first one, you're like, well, I need to get my guy in there. Oh, okay. If you want to spend the money, we're okay with that because a lot of times the boxes get checked and like, yeah, this is solid, and we're fine. We don't have a problem with that. We'll have some investors that are going to be looking at multiple properties, buying 3 or 4 or 5 starting out because they kind of know what they're looking for. We'll fly them out. We have a travel form and we'll set it up and fly out to where our properties are at in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we'll show you around.
So let me ask you this,
Yeah.
because I want to go down the leverage path, but I also want to sort of close the loop on the whole process. So I buy the house, we figure it out, we've gotten there, now it's mine. I mean, how long from the time that I pick my house until I get my first rent check? Like, what's that time frame?
Whenever you close. So if it's in the mid-month, we'll actually prorate a rent check to you. So we set up everything on ACH. I would like to say mailbox money, but I guess maybe that's not really the case.
It's an old school term now.
Right. So it comes in and it's electronically done. You have a portal, so you see all your properties that you might have. So that transparency is always there, but we set it up to where literally getting it done 2 weeks, and you'll have a prorated rent check at the end of that month.
So pretty much immediately.
Well, yeah,
Within the first month.
because if it's renting, we're not going to keep it. If you've bought it in the middle of the month, it's yours. And if I've got a month's worth of rent that I've put in my pocket, some of that's not mine.
Yeah.
So we'll prorate it out and cut you a check.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many properties just on any given, like how many do you have in the inventory right now that are available?
Well, we're always looking at and adding, but I'd say what's totally out there is probably between 35 and 40.
35 and 40. So,
Yeah.
so quite a bit to choose
Yeah,
from.
yeah. Oh, there's plenty. And again, this is all. It's like putting out, In-N-Out burgers, and some have pickles and some have cheese, and but it's an In-N-Out burger, so you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So all of ours you're going to find that they kind of look the same to some degree, but there's some variety, but we know what we would want to buy, so that's what we want. That's what we offer, and it's in that way it doesn't make getting in a complicated step.
Yeah, and it's never a problem for you guys to have inventory because it always makes money.
Correct.
So that's a really cool setup that you have there. Especially for some of the people in California who invest in, a 4-unit that's like 1.5 million bucks. To look at if you could cash out of something like that with a big profit right now, and roll that into something like this, you would cash flow the hell out of something right there. I mean, how many properties are you getting for 1.5? I mean, you're buying a ton of different
Yeah, well,
properties.
it depends on the 1031 exchange processes. It depends on how much you still owe, because you can't per se. You have to. It's the free cash that you're allowed to use.
Sure.
So it depends if you've got a lot available. Then yeah, it's funny that on the example that's on the site that I have of the 1031 cases that let's say netted out a $500,000. You sell one house and you just was able to buy 7 for the exact. You got 7, and the numbers on there are crazy as far as what you can cash flow on it. But that's the whole purpose, is that the gap between what California investors experience and can do now and what we offer. There's such a huge opportunity to make a huge jump that sometimes it is the. How much was that again? No, but again, that's been it's a good product that really fits a need, and especially for the passive investor. It's the passive investor.
And we can see the inventory on the website, right?
Yeah.
Doneforoyouhomes.com.
Yeah, so I've got about 7 up there. We have then a back site that I can get into, but I just want to give some samples so you can see it's going to look pretty much the same on the 7. You're going to okay, I get the point. I see exactly what you guys offer.
Yeah.
But it's a great starting point, and then conversationally we can backfill anything that they might want to see.
Yeah, you can probably provide a spreadsheet or something.
Yeah.
Hey, here's everything. Here's the numbers on it. That's what most of these investors are going to want to look at anyway.
Oh, of course, yeah. So on one, I've got some of the taxes and insurance on there, so you can get an idea, because again, it's all going to pretty much look the same. There's going to be some variation, but you can see exactly. Insurance is not that much, and taxes in the Midwest, it's
I'm thinking long-term game planning with something like this. You mentioned the 15-year mortgages. When people finance, they usually still cash flow with the 15-year loan. And being able to leverage out and finance, putting 20 or 25% down, getting 15-year loans, what that looks like for a retirement plan, if you're in your early 50s or mid-40s or whatever, to be able to take and set yourself up so, okay, hey, I know on this date my property's going to be paid off.
Right.
I'm going to have this much money coming in.
And your underlying asset is safe. And this is where a lot of, I think, retirees or pre-retirees that are kind of beginning to look there, they get to a point in their life, and I think this happens probably with everybody. It happened to me as well, is that you get to a point in your life and you think to yourself, I thought I'd be further ahead. Okay, great, that's a great epiphany, but then the question is, okay, so what do you do? And there's not a lot of choices, and so on the real estate side, people see the opportunity, but then it deflates because they see all the steps involved. They're like, I'm still got a career, but I don't want to do that, and then they almost it deflates, and they begin to look sometimes into some crazy things, Bitcoin and all kinds of things, where they're trying to find that how do I make up for that gap of where I'm at and what I need for my lifestyle and my retirement. And I have capital, but I'm not sure what to do with it. And so those retirees and those pre-retirees begin to see that, and it's amazing how it's. I mean, some of our clients that I know some of the stories that they will say that you completely changed my life. And that's the point. And sometimes we have to change a life one house at a time. A lot of our investors come in and they're getting one. They're starting. And maybe they're a little bit younger and they say, look, I got 80 grand and I just want to start because I get the point. And that's the point, because a lot of our houses, we only have so much available for new investors, because most of our inventory goes to returning investors. So we want to take care of them kind of at the front of the line. But we also have some for new investors coming in, but there is a ratio that we have to kind of watch. So it's interesting, because one house leads to 2, and it's funny. Then they'll call and say, okay, I want now 2 more, and I want 3 more, and we have some that have quite a number. And it's just it's just they keep getting the next one and the next one and the next one, and it's amazing how their lifestyles completely change and shift. And but that's the point. It truly fits a need, and it's so simple to do.
Let me ask you a couple questions here.
Yeah.
So once I bought the house, are you done with it, or do you guys continue to manage the property, or
Great question. Great question. So we put it under our management umbrella, and we take care of it from that point. So the point is we always kind of have our hand on the same desk that our client does. So there always is like who they're interacting with, we're interacting with. So we just don't like pass them off and say, see ya. Because one, we need to make sure is that long term our clients come back and buy more because they know how we take care of them long term. And so we have to have that as part of our, that's part of our brand. Because the brand has to be something long term, or else you don't get repeat buyers.
Right.
So we can't just pass it off, because then there's this blank space of, well, I hope they do a good job. Well, I hope it's going well. So we're always intimately involved of anything that might come up. Obviously, if it does, it's a very simple equation. Do the right thing. And so we can be involved in that, so we're not leaving that answer up to somebody else to make that decision.
So it's not just done for you, it's done for you forever? I mean, do you guys work with it forever? I mean, there's no like contract term or anything? It's just...
No, I mean, the house is deeded, they own it under our management umbrella, so we know the systems that we're having the investor engage with. So that, because that's the part to me that provides a lot of this, I call it the sleepability factor. Look, if you're 2,000 miles away from something that you've got a deed for, but you want to sleep, it's really on the day-to-day of that they've been vetted right of the people that you put in, because they were there before that they bought it. So you got to know that that system is right. You've got to know that long-term, from how they manage the property, handle anything that comes up that needs fixed. You know, I always kind of joke around that, you know, on with our maintenance teams that we put in like 2 toilets across all the houses, because what it does, that provides simplicity for fixing things efficiently. Same thing when we do a rehab. You know, we'll look at the same HVAC system and the same water tanks for hot water, and we'll do all the things to where we know exactly what we're putting in. We know exactly where, if something does go wrong, of what it is, and we can fix it quickly and efficiently. So long term, that's, to me, is almost a more important part of the product than the transaction of just buying it.
And the cap rates. Well, but that's just monstrously huge, because it's not, you're not even just saying, hey, we'll collect the rent for you. You're saying you'll help fix the property when it needs it.
Right.
Like a property management, a full service property management setup.
Right. It truly. So when we set up your after the purchase, in that 2 weeks, we will set up the portal. We'll get your ACH set up, so everything is done.
Okay. So let's see here. I've got a question from Juliana. Good morning, Derek. San Diego native. My husband and I couldn't afford San Diego, and everything we looked at was horrible or related to San Diego. So we bought Marietta in 2013. Really want to sell our home and possibly move back to San Diego. Do you recommend selling now, or think we should stay? Kind of not what we're talking about right now. But it's a good question, Juliana, and I will definitely get to your question. For what we're talking about, you know, is the investing side. So this isn't residential real estate. Yeah. This is residential real estate, right, but it's for investment purposes.
Correct. Right. So we really cater in on single family homes, because that's what we do well. I'll get some calls that say, well, hey, do you have any apartments? I'm like, no, that's not our thing. And we just would rather do our thing really, really, really well, because then in that brand, we really can do it well. And I think sometimes in real estate, there's so much you can do, and it's sometimes you kind of lose track of really being specific in a certain skill and lane. So we stay in our lane, and I'm okay with that, because there are plenty of investors that need what we do, and the product fits, and to us it makes sense, and obviously we know it does, because we have returning clients that want more, and even coming in, everything works. They're like, yeah, you know what, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, this is just amazing. I mean, it's so. I mean, who would this not be for then? So who is not the person that this is for? Because I know we say passive,
Right.
income investors. So
The first thing is I would say, one, if someone wants to get their hands dirty, and they want to take that time risk of buying in San Diego or buying in Southern California, and saying, well, my play is that I hope it'll appreciate, and I have the time that I can wait it out. And even if I'm negative on my cash flow, I'll take the risk. Or even if I'm flat, I'll take the risk because I got time.
So appreciation investors.
Yep. So the appreciation investors, I would probably say no, because again, in the Midwest, that's not the play. You know, these houses that are built in the 50s and 60s, and they're 80 grand.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some appreciation, but that's not the play. The play is cash flow.
Play is you get $950 a month in rent.
Exactly.
That's the play.
Right. I would say is that it's a very boring place, but it's very stable, and that's the whole point. So you're going to keep getting those rent checks every single month with great consistency because that's who our client is. So I would say passive is very key because that's really if you look at the landscape, since it's done, you don't have to get your hands dirty, and that's good for a lot of type of clients. So ones that kind of want to get in and tinker and flip and do this, and that's not us.
Yeah. It's interesting because what you've done is you've taken something that sounds good. Like people have looked in the Midwest before. I've had people have been telling me about Oklahoma and Ohio and all these things for years. But the trouble is,
how do you get back there and do it?
Yeah,
Right.
How do you do it? But also, how do you scale it? It's
Right.
like, okay, well, I can find one, and I get it going, and okay, I got a tenant, and then they send me cancellation. Now I got to put an ad in and do it.
Right.
So how do you actually scale it up to where it's like, okay, now I can see where I can put 500 grand into this thing, and I can have 8 houses, and I can, have this much money coming in every month. That's what you guys have solved for. You've taken something that looks sexy but was impossible to execute.
Right.
And you've done the execution part. You've bridged the gap.
Right, and then what that allows is, because I think a lot of investors, they'll look in a lot of different places, look at, okay, one house I can get in Detroit, and I can get, one in St. Louis, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're gonna interact with 4 or 5, like every time you go to a different place, you've got to, even if you get a new management company, why would you want to deal with 5 different ones in 5 different areas? Versus the streamlining is everything under one roof. Everything under one roof really helps the client to get something that is consistent, that they know of what they're going to get every time, and not having, well, 3 out of my 5 are working great, but I've got 2, I got that city and that house. I can't find a good property management company, or I didn't know the area that well, and I kind of guessed at it. So the nice thing is that we have all that because we've concentrated in one area. To where we know it, we know where to buy, we know how to rehab, we know our client, and all of that ends up with a very good end product for that kind of client. I want passive, and I want it now.
I don't have to do anything.
Right, I don't have to, because all of the typical legwork has been done. So again, to finalize your question on who it's not for, it really is the one that wants to tinker, or the one that wants the appreciation play, or the one that is really, I would say, not ready in the sense that they want to learn about real estate investing.
Or a short-term investor, like
Yeah.
someone who's into it for a year or two.
Right.
That's probably not a good fit either, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
more of a long-term investment.
Right.
Because that's where it starts to stack up. I mean, being passive, the whole point is that set it, forget it.
Right. So when you buy it in your IRA, it now becomes part of the IRA. I mean, there are always 1031s. I mean, all that they're all going to be longer term clients coming in. But the good thing is that you always have exit strategies. And that's important because sometimes you might need an exit for whatever life comes up and gives you a curveball, and you just need to actually exit for multiple reasons. That's okay. It's not you're locked into where you're kind of a fractional owner of something, and you've committed for a period of time, or it's you can't get your money out for X amount, an annuity thing, other things to where it doesn't have the flexibility. And the assumption might be is that okay, long term means I don't have an exit. That's not true. You do have exits.
What's your exit? So could at any point in time, let's say something changes and
Put it on the market.
you just sell it.
You just sell it. Because it's such a good market for investing and for real estate, and because we're in the segment of the marketplace that is, it's the average working class house. And so it's not going to be in that range where it's a high end, where you have a smaller segment of who can afford it. So if markets turn and go south, let's go back to 08, you still have the ability to get out even in that market, because in the Midwest, you're not going to find the dips to where all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm so far underwater, I can't get out. Now you don't have an exit in a lot of those plays to where you're hoping for appreciation, the market turns. I mean, look at San Diego, and
yeah,
that is now kind of a conversation that investors are looking at, that I've talked with, and they're like, yeah, but it's looking a little shaky, so I'm not really sure if that appreciation is going to be there as I want it, need it. What that does, it puts handcuffs on the investor. And that's what we don't want to do, is be in a place, and we chose well on purpose for that market for a lot of reasons. And one of those is you always have an exit. We've even had some to where, for whatever reason, they need out, and we'll have the conversation, and if it's right for us to buy it back from them, we've done that before. just to, so all those things are on the table as far as what's the best thing for the client, how can we help them. So we have obviously realtors there that we work with on a regular basis. So if we need to get them with someone that we know is going to be aggressive and get it out and get the top dollar in the market for that investor for their exit strategy, then we'll do that. Sometimes we're a solution, sometimes not.
But it's just as simple as selling the house. I mean, there's no other extra paperwork to go through, no other
You
contract you have to cancel. It's your house.
It's your house. It's your house.
And that's big.
Yeah, right.
And you're just basically helping to service it so that it is truly done for you, just like it says in the name, done for you.
Homes.
You
got it.
Man, Scott, we're going to have it back, man. There's a
lot more there.
There's more. There's definitely more to cover.
Yeah.
This is great. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and share this with us. This is something that a lot of people need, a lot of people are looking for around here, and it's just not here. It's definitely not in San Diego. It's not in California, but it does exist. Good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you.
You got it.
Hey, share this video. Make your friends smarter than everyone else, and tell your buddies who want passive income investments, especially in real estate, to check this out, doneforyouhomes.com. Appreciate it. You are now smarter than everyone else, officially.